always remember marriage is sacred. Never go into a marriage thinking, if this and this go wrong, I can just get out of this. You need to work through it. And God made each and every one of us special.
Welcome to Empower TV, where we leave a legacy of hope through conversations that uplift, educate, and inspire. Listen to incredible stories of people who overcame challenges and barriers. Celebrate victories, learn from setbacks, and push forward together. Want to be empowered? Let's go.
I'm your host Lorna Grayling, and today we came down to the beautiful Merritt Island to visit with Elsa Nilson. She's a model, beautician, an accountant, an interior decorator, and a professional organizer. But she recently found her passion and is now an accredited life, health, and marriage coach. Elsa, welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Lorna. This is really a privilege.
Well, I can see why you're a model. You're absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, thank you so much.
From modeling to accounting to now a life, health, and marriage coach. My goodness, what a journey, right?
Yes, absolutely. Very interesting journey too.
I can imagine. Elsa, I know that you got married very young in your life, 20 years old,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about how that relationship started and why do you think it ended?
Well, I was definitely very young, like you said. I already met my husband in school. We were always together, and it just seems like the right fit. Absolutely amazing family. Nothing negative that I can say about them, but just too young, not knowing everything about life. You think you do, but you don't. And you're too immature, really, to work through your problems. You don't know what is the right steps. And there are people that do go and look for help. For counseling, and we just didn't.
That is very powerful, right?
Yes.
I love what you're saying about that because it's so empowering to know that if you do have problems, like you say, is to go and look for help and tools.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. So from there, I know you got a divorce and you moved to South America in Paraguay, where you got held hostage with your two children, right? At that stage, aged 8 and 9.
Yes, that's correct, yes.
How did that happen and what happened?
You know, I think when you're living in a third world country, a lot of times, they're really watching you. They see that your accent's not the right way you speak Spanish. They can hear you. You look different. People even told me that my disposition is different. Everything is different. And they just really look at you because they think there's money.
Sure.
It doesn't mean
so they
are.
target the immigrants, right?
Yes,
Wow.
definitely. They target them. Yeah, definitely. And before we got held hostage in our own home, there were two other families, American families, that they entered their homes as well, of which they were not as fortunate as we were. There were some injuries, there was some death. And but so when they entered our home, I think I kind of immediately realized it must be the same people.
Sure.
And of course, then you're a little bit uneasy.
Uneasy, that's putting it mildly. I would be freaked out.
Well, that is, you're very right. You're very, very right. But of course, you try and stay calm for your kids.
Okay.
And they were very young, like you said. They were 8 and 9 years old. And when they entered the home, they let us all sit down at the dining room table first. And I grew up in a Christian home. So my first thought were to tell them just, start praying.
So you told the kids to start
praying. To
praying.
them to start praying, but
were they armed? Armed men?
They were armed. What was funny is that they didn't cover their faces. They didn't care if we recognized them afterwards. But they had bulletproof vests on. They were all armed. And there were 3 people inside the house that held us hostage. There was 1 in the getaway car outside. And for me, it was a time of just really test my faith as well. because you think about your kids, what can they do to us as well? And although I told them to pray, my children knew to pray very softly, because they had this thing of continuously telling us, you need to be quiet or we'll shoot.
Oh my goodness.
So that went on for quite some time, over an hour. And then all of a sudden they decided we have to go to the second floor of our house. And they led us up the stairs. So I told the children to walk in front of me. So then they stick this gun in my back and we just all walked upstairs. And they led us into my daughter's bedroom. Which of course I was just praying at that time, please God, just protect us. I don't want my daughter to get raped. I don't want my son to get hurt. Just protect us. But it was then when you really start seeing God moving.
Wow.
And as we were sitting in the room on my daughter's bed, my son said, Mom, we need to read out of Isaiah.
Wow. So he just got this.
Yeah, he just got that feeling we had to, read out of Isaiah. And I said, well, we can't. Still trying to be a little bit soft, as the one guy was standing at the door, didn't understand us speaking in Afrikaans. And I told him we can't because there's only a children's Bible in this room, because that's what she had. But God just moved this evil person. And the next moment he was not at the door anymore. And the next moment he was back and he pushed this book in my hand and he said, what is this? And I said to him in Spanish, it's a Bible, sir. Wow. And he said, so read it and be quiet.
So God literally provided you
the
with
Bible
this
that we needed.
Supernatural Bible.
Exactly,
That
yes.
is incredible. What an amazing experience for your kids to see God's hand.
And
right?
yes, while we're in this situation.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, then I asked my son, so where in Isaiah? And he said, I don't know, Mom. If I knew, I just know it's Isaiah.
Yeah.
So I opened the book, not the Bible, not even looking for Isaiah at that time. But when I opened it, it fell open in Isaiah.
Oh, wow.
And it fell open in Isaiah 41, verse 9 to 16, where it actually says that I actually collect my children from all four corners of the earth, and I will protect you. I will keep you up with my righteous right hand, and you will look for your enemies afterwards, but they will not be able to be found.
That is incredible.
So at that moment, you just feel that incredible peace.
Yes.
And I just knew this house are protected.
Yes.
We are not going to be just a number. We are not just going to be somebody that got in a foreign country, got kidnapped, and something happened to one of us, but I knew God was with us.
God was with you.
All the time,
and that
yes.
knowledge is powerful.
Very, very, very
Brings
powerful.
peace.
Yes. So after that, we were still there for quite some time. They held us hostage for 3.5 hours. But immediately your whole feeling, your whole peace over yourself and over your family was totally different.
Yeah, it's like from fear to faith.
To faith, yes.
Just the knowledge that God
just knowing.
is there.
Yeah, just knowing He's there.
That is
and after
profound.
3.5 hours, they left. We all of a sudden realized they weren't there anymore.
So they just left you?
They just left. So
did they take money? Did they want money?
Oh yeah, they didn't take our passports. They were scattered all over the floor. They found them, but they didn't take them.
Praise God for that.
But they took all our money that was in the house out of the wallet, all jewelry that was in the house, gold. What they didn't take was my pearls. They probably just thought it was normal. Just something cheap, but the gold, silver, diamonds, that's the things that they took.
Oh, man.
But that's a very, very small price to pay.
Yes.
It's actually
Earthly
no
things.
price to pay, yes.
Yeah.
So that was incredible. And they just left. We could call the police. The children went over the street to neighbors that we knew, and they called 911, and it was all over. The police came, and yes.
Oh my goodness. What an amazing story.
Yes.
And from there, I know you guys immigrated to America, right? And
Yes.
now you've found the love of your life. How many years have you guys been married now?
10 years.
10 years. What is your
yeah.
husband's name?
Eric.
Eric. So
Yes.
you have found Eric, the love of your life. You guys have been married for 10 years.
Yes.
And I know that you now do marriage counseling with him as well, and you do marriage courses and things.
Yes, yes, we do.
What do you do in your marriage that is different now to the marriage that you had before? Because now, I mean, you obviously have so much more training. You've studied life coaching, which is, you know, really empowering. Yeah, so what is it that you do differently now than 20 years ago?
I think you grow so much as a person, so you are a total different person. You are more mature in your thinking. One of the biggest things I would definitely say, you have more patience. And with your partner, you see things from the other one's perspective, and you try to see him through God's eyes.
Sure.
Because then you realize, you know, you're all just people, and none of us are perfect. And just as they had to have patience with you, you have to have patience with them. And don't get me wrong, I haven't arrived. I have to continuously pray about it.
I don't think anybody has.
But I would say it's definitely one of the bigger things, is to have patience, to treat each other with respect, with love. Because if there's not respect and there's not trust, then it's when things starts getting some cracks, and that you kind of give up on the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the tools, I think you mentioned in the beginning that you didn't have the tools.
Yes.
And that you went through this process of self-growth. And then now, you know, it's this whole different process of having tools,
Yes.
knowing what to do,
Yes.
and then implementing those tools.
Tools, yes.
On your website, you mention this process that you've gone through of self-growth, and the fact that you have discovered how beautiful and how powerful you are as a person. Tell me about that process and why that is so important for you, that other people also have that realization, right, of who we are and what makes us powerful inside.
Lorna, you know, I think we all have so much power inside of us. It's the knowledge of how to get to it. And, you know, we all keep on building on our careers, and we try new things and we study. But if you know yourself as a person inside, and you know, the biggest thing is if you know you're special. And God made each and every one of us special. Nobody's the same. And the moment that you realize that you are special to God, you're special to all your loved ones, so why won't you be special to yourself? Because you have to have self-love. And sometimes it sounds very selfish, but it's not.
Yeah, because I was just going to ask you,
Yeah.
I mean, that in general in life, we almost think of having self-love as being prideful,
Oh, yes,
right? And
yes.
people think, oh, she's got too much confidence, and, you know, she thinks she's something special. But it's actually a very good thing,
It's a
because we
very
can be humble, but the knowledge of knowing how special we are inside, it changes your whole outlook about
Exactly.
yourself
Yes.
and life.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And that's what's very important to me when I help women after divorce as well. That they have to understand they are enough. Because when you go through a divorce, there is so much pain. And it's not only the pain for you, it's the pain for your children. But you also have all that guilt. Because you always feel like, if I didn't go through this, my children would have been at a better place.
Sure.
And
that feeling can really affect your parenting, right?
definitely, yes.
Because if you can get very depressed feeling that way. 'Cause
Yes.
the more you kind of hammer yourself with these kind of thoughts that I'm not good enough, I'm a bad parent, I'm a bad mother, am I ever going to find happiness again? All these thoughts that we make up in our
Yes.
head. Once you're filled with that, to parent from a place of that, it's never
No,
never good.
it's not a good place. No, because you doubt yourself.
So how do you get from that place? Because I mean, that's quite normal, right?
Oh
Once you
yeah,
go through
depression
something
and
like that,
everything. Yes.
how do you get from that place where the feelings are just so overwhelming, your reality is so bleak in front of you? How do you get from that place to a place in your mind that you can say, I'm special, I'm powerful, I'm worthy? Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to allow us to make more episodes and be inspired and empowered by incredible people. The feelings are just so overwhelming, your reality is so bleak in front of you. How do you get from that place to a place in your mind that you can say, I'm special, I'm powerful, I'm worthy? How do you make that shift?
You know, it's not just a quick shift, it's a process. And that's why there's so many different things that with my clients that I need to help them with.
Yeah.
Because some of them come out of a marriage where it's not only what they did wrong, it's also how they were treated. So they're not only depressed, but they also think less of themselves. They believe they can't do nothing. They, for example, the finances were taken away from them. Their husband did all the finances, and now all of a sudden this is overwhelming.
Yeah.
I have all this responsibilities, and I have to pay a house on my own, and I have to have food in my children's mouths, and I have to have them in good schools, and I have to have clothes, and I don't want them to lack. And there's so many things to think about that it's better to, when you come across a certain area where you think you lack, really concentrate on that and make a plan of how you're going to get out of that. And that's where I, as a life coach, come in.
Oh, wow.
When we start working with finances, I let them put down their finances in front of me. We see what is everything that is a very big responsibility, what they need to cover, where are they standing with their incomes, and what plan can we put on paper.
I love that.
To get out of it and to have a plan to move forward. Because nobody wants to just start panicking and think, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this.
Yeah.
You know, eventually I'm just going to give up. You're not. You are worth it. And you have to also think about your kids, everybody that's involved, that not only for yourself, but for them as well. They want to see mommy is okay.
Yeah.
They want to see she's happy again.
Because if mommy is okay, everything is actually okay.
That is
right?
true, yes.
It's like, it's in any household, whether you're still married or unmarried or divorced, or it seems everywhere. I know in my house, if I'm okay, everything is okay.
Okay.
If I'm not okay,
Okay, yeah, then everybody can feel it.
it's shaky,
Yeah,
right? Everybody's
definitely.
emotions gets affected through it. I love what you're saying about having a plan, because it seems like the overwhelming feelings and the anxiety and the fear all comes with everything seems too much. There's all this new responsibility in front of people that, you know, has now gotten divorced, or any change in our lives, right, that we're faced with. And it seems huge. But then where you come in and say, all right, let's take it one thing at a time.
Yes.
And let's implement tools and a plan.
Definitely,
And
yes.
then when you have a blueprint of what to do, that also brings a lot of peace.
Definitely,
right?
yeah, it brings a lot of peace. And one of the biggest things for women when they go through a divorce, when they go into depression, they feel like they don't need to care about themselves anymore. So we work a lot on health, what is important for you, how to eat right. And sometimes, a lot of times, you don't need to go on a diet. You just need to change some of your habits that you picked up through the time when you tried to cope.
Yeah.
So we change habits. We look even at how they dress again. Look at your closet. What do you need to change? What fits in this time of your life? With what will make you feel self-confident? Because the moment you feel good about yourself and you feel self-confident, you are going to start sorting out all the different sections of your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I always think if you look good, you feel good.
Exactly, yes.
I remember when I went through very tough times in my life always. The mornings where I would get up and dress up and put on some makeup, no matter how bad I feel.
Yes.
I would just look in the mirror, and you do feel a little bit better when you look better, but it's not what you feel like doing. Like when you wake up feeling like that, the last thing you want to do is dress up. You're just tired.
Yes.
You want to stay in your pajamas. You want to actually stay in bed all day.
All day.
And just cry and just feel sorry for yourself. But it's actually to go past that feeling and knowing that when you do get up and dress up,
yes,
that it actually does impact your emotions.
Oh,
right?
totally, totally. It makes you a more positive person. You're actually positive about all the things that's going to happen in that day, and you do it all with more focus, with a plan, with being somewhere at the end of that day.
It's very interesting that dressing up and looking good actually does affect how we go about things. We don't think it does.
You don't
but
think
it actually
does.
It does. It seems like COVID took a lot of that away, because now people don't have to go to work. Everybody's working from home, and you know, we don't have to dress up. We don't have to look good. And it seems like this might actually affect people more than they think.
Yes, it definitely does. And I also think, you just talked about COVID, I think as we saw that divorces just totally flipped and went like crazy high during COVID time, because all of a sudden people were spending a lot of time together all the time, and they some of them realized, you know, we don't have that much in common anymore. And that is where you have to start realizing, well, I am here in this home every day with my husband, but I want to look good for him. Just like in the beginning, go back to basics and make a plan to look good for him, feel good about yourself, and you will be a more empowered woman.
Yeah, absolutely. And also to go and find the tools. You know, again, it's so profound that it comes back to the very first thing that you mentioned in the interview, is that when you were so young, you didn't have the tools and the know-how.
The know-how.
And I think that's often where we find ourselves in life, when we're at this crossroad and things are just so overwhelming, whatever it is, if it's a relationship or a career or just life choices. But it's to just come back to basics, right?
Exactly.
And find tools.
Yes.
And then implement them.
And implement them as well. Yeah. And not only think about the tools, but really use them.
Use them continuously.
Continuously.
Because that's the thing. You can also not just do it once and think, now everything is going to change.
No, it's not.
Right?
It's not going to change.
You have to continuously do what you learned. And then things will only start to change.
To change, yes. Yes, definitely.
Because that is powerful, I know. I think something that, you know, comes to mind for me is that, because I like to do, to educate myself on things. I like, if I have a problem, I like to go and find a solution, Google things, you know, find podcasts or teachings or anything regarding
educate yourself.
Educate yourself. And then I'm very excited. Now I have the tools and I implement it once and then you stop. And I'm like, well, I've done this once now. Why is it not changing? But it's not really the ones. It's a continuous.
It's a continuous thing. Let's say, for example, of how you treat your husband. There are a lot of things that through life, when you're together for many years, you, for example, do not go on dates regularly anymore. You have to make it a habit of saying once a week we are going to do something together. It doesn't always need to be this expensive thing. You can go out like once a month or so, but the other weeks do something small. Go and have an ice cream together. But do it in a place where you can be alone, where you can talk, where you still have time for each other, which is very important. And there are other things. For example, you can think about how you communicate with your husband. Because when we get used to somebody, we just say things easily. And that is just not the way to go. Always communicate with respect and love. And if you do that, we always have the analogy that are you going to communicate like a fork? and you're going to stab him with everything that he says? Or are you going to communicate with a knife and slice him at every opportunity that you get? Or are you just going to be like a spoon? Just communicate softly, not raise your voice, but then you can actually get the point across, and then he will actually hear you, and the communication between the two of you would be in a better place.
I love that. It's funny how when we're in a marriage, it's like you say, especially if, I think we get used to each other, right?
Yes, yes.
And somehow in our brains, we think it's okay to treat the other person maybe with disrespect, or
Yes.
maybe we get tired and we're annoyed and we're irritated and we treat someone in a certain way without understanding that if you treat someone in a certain way for a long enough time, that will break the relationship. Right?
Yes,
I
it
mean, we're not
definitely
going to
will.
go to a new person that we want to impress and treat them the way we treat our husbands.
No,
sometimes.
no, definitely not, because we know you're married. He's going to,
Yeah,
he's just going
it's
to.
all right, he's gonna
It's okay,
stay.
and he's going to, he's going to take it, but that's not fair.
It's a wrong mindset.
It's the
Because
total
what you put
wrong.
in is
What you're going to get out. That's definitely
That
it.
is
Yes.
important stuff.
Yeah, very, very important.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us. We have had such a good conversation. We're literally at the end of our show so fast. Some last words of wisdom that you can give our guest in terms of marriage before we close.
Always remember, marriage is sacred. It is something, two people that decided that you have enough in common, that you love each other enough, that you want to spend the rest of your life together. And never go into a marriage thinking, if this and this go wrong, I can just get out of this. You need to work through it. You have to have the mindset that we want to grow all together. And if you have that mindset, you actually work together. Yeah. One is not trying to undermine the other one. So always remember, marriage is something for the long term.
I love that.
All right.
That is so powerful. Elsa, thank you so much for joining us. This has been absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much, Lorna, for having me. I really appreciate that.
Well, that is it from me, Lorna Grayling. If you want to get hold of Elsa and get some training and some tools to invest in your life in terms of health and marriage and life coaching, you can have a look on the screen. Her details will be on the screen right now. You can go to her website and you can email her. Until next week, goodbye.